So let's dive in and talk about leveraging social media. So this training is, of course, is going to be centered around providing some tips, tools, and resources to assist you guys in your social media endeavors. But I think the best place to start and to spend a little time to begin is to reconcile or to be resolved in the fact that social media is a billion-dollar channel that reaches billions of people and often at a very, very low investment cost. So one of the number one reasons that social media exists, it's for interaction. It's for interactions amongst people to create, share, and exchange information and ideas in virtual communities or networks. I want you guys, if you guys are the representatives or the social coordinators for your organization, keep in mind it's information and ideas in your virtual community and network. I know on social, people use terms like followers or friends, but I want you guys to think about it like this. Everyone who's chosen to engage into your community via social media is a community member. So if they've pressed that follow button or that add button, they have chosen to enroll into your community for one reason alone, whether they maybe one for sure one reason, whether it's because whatever the content that you have out is touching their heart, or kind of identifying a pain point or connecting with them on the pain level, they have chosen to enroll up in your community. And you have to look at your following like a community. These people are here because they want to be here, because nobody forced them to press that follow button, but they're there because they like the message. They believe in the cause. They believe in what the organization stands on. And so these people are considered your community, okay? Somebody just type in the chat for me, community. I know it probably sounds a little redundant, but it's one of those things when you realize that people are not followers or fans, they're community, it completely shifts how you choose to engage with them. You start to look at your content and say, hey, you know what? I'm providing content or I'm providing information that I want my community to digest and to understand. So is the best way that am I posting this, or am I creating content in the best way that my community can gather it, connect to it, and most importantly, be impressed to share it? Thank you guys for your interaction in the chat. Number two, billions of people around the world use social media to share information and make connections. Hear me, billions of people. I think the world has 8.1 billion people in it. I think somewhere we're in the 302 million people in the US alone are using social media. So it's a worldwide phenom. That's why I say things from the standpoint of it's not going anywhere, because so many people have actively engaged in it. We have grandparents on Facebook, but we also have grandparents on TikTok. We have aunts and uncles on Instagram. We have thought leaders on Twitter. We have professionals and scholars on Twitter. We have all these people engaging in these different networks for different reasons. And they're using this to share what their belief systems are sometimes, share their information, their thoughts, but most importantly, they're on there connecting with people. Now, it may sound like, oh my God, I'm not on social media to meet new friends, but that may be the case. You may not be looking to engage with new people in your community, but think about the moment in time where you say, oh my, you know what? I think I may want to join this. So for example, one of the examples that I like to share, there's people that are part of Facebook communities that are maybe new to areas or sometimes older in age or retired, and they're looking for things to do in their daytime because they're no longer going their 9-to-5s. They put their 30, 40 years in. Their kids have gone off to school, graduated, and now they're having kids. And it's like, what do I do with my time? Social media is a great way for adults from this standpoint to engage, who are like-minded, who have maybe similar goals or interests, to form community. Social media is about connecting with people. Now, point number three, which is like one of my favorites. The US has 300 million social media users as of 2023. Statistically, 90% of America is using social media consistently in one way or another. Now, of course, this statistic is pooled, and it includes those who may not have personal accounts, but that are sometimes managers of business accounts. It includes all of that, with 74.2% of adults using it. That lets us know right there that even though social media may feel kiddie or childish, that it is still a very much so popular adult-friendly space. Just think about it. When Facebook came out, I think I was maybe 10 to 12 years ago, you had to have a college email address to even get a Facebook account. And that was maybe 16 years ago, right? And so that means those individuals who started on a part of the Facebook community early on when it was Tom and he was a grad student or whatever it was when he created the platform, these are now our 35 and up. And so in addition to that, we have, those who may be in the 45s to 50 to 60s who have grandkids. So they love to take pictures of their grandkids. Now, everything ends up on these platforms, and people don't realize that these are adults posting this. When we break down the average ages of platform users, so of course, I mentioned earlier that TikTok is typically 30 and under. That age range where they're interested in short-term video content, they're interested in following trends. Like, that's why TikTok is what it is, and that's why TikTok is so youthful and so fresh, is because it's a safe space or a place for the youth. But then you see Instagram and Facebook being multi-generational, where everybody's there, but your typical large use of social media usage for Instagram are typically those who are 30 to 45. That demographic, we're there, we're engaged, we have the ability to create video content, to share information or our thoughts. We also have the ability to do photos because we're a part of that photographic generation where we take a shot of everything. However, those that are under us are like, let's record everything. And of course, those that are a little bit above 35, a little bit of that 45 window, they're just like, hey, I want to stay connected. And so now we have these multi-generational platforms that we all have access to. And I'm going to tell you this thing, guys, social media is free. It's the #1 marketing tool to send your content and your information around the world. And you don't have to pay to start. You guys ever thought about that? It is actually a free idea. I think someone mentioned earlier when we were answering the questions how dangerous it can sometimes be when it comes to cybersecurity and sometimes safety. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. We have to be mindful about what we put out there, how we utilize it. But we do have to recognize that if the same way that it can be a weapon for destruction, I guess we can say, it can also be a weapon for mass growth, mass exposure. What could that do to for your organization's mission if one day a piece of content decided to be shared by 500 individuals? Could that increase donors? Could that increase those who are just aware, brand awareness? Could that increase possible event turnouts? Could that increase, what could that do? That's why we have to remember that social media, especially in the organizational stage or phase where it did not used to be or was not the leading thing, that we have to recognize it is just as important as our initiatives and as our active campaigns, that we are present and accounted for in the digital world, because the world is 100% digital. The fourth tip or fourth key for leveraging social media, I put a few quotes on here that some of you guys may have heard of, may be familiar with, but some may not. But just in case you have not, I want you to know this: content is king. That is something the cool kids call it, or they say, but they remind you that content is king. What you post out there says a whole lot about you and possibly your organization or your entity. So one of the things that I often ask individuals when they're like assessing their social media, or if I'm doing a social media audit, I would ask them something very simple that you can instantly apply to whoever your media manager is. If you didn't know me, if you didn't work here, if you weren't so bought into this cause, if you just viewed it, would you engage with it or would you like it? Two things, real simple. If the first time looking at some content or reviewing content, ask yourself, if I was not employed here, if I did not personally have been affected by this cause, or if I was not a partner because of a life situation or life circumstance that brought me into this space, would I engage with this content and do I like it? Honestly, that is often one of the best barrier systems or the best metric systems before organizations and businesses put out information. Was like, hey, ask ourselves, outside of this, no paycheck, none of that, do I like this? Would I respond to it? And if the answer is no, that's a great place or space for you to be able to make some shifts, make some changes. Sometimes those changes could be word choice, the color of the graphic, because colors do communicate some things. And we're going to talk about the psychology of colors in just a moment. But keeping that in mind, could it be, hey, you know what? Do I like this? That typically can be the barrier that opens up the floodgates for people to engage with your content, to see your stuff. But of course, when you consider how the algorithm or the internet works behind it, the more people like, comment, and share, the more the post is automatically boosted, which it does what? Increases visibility. Next thing, master the topic, the message, and the delivery. So I know, because you guys are here and you guys are organizational masterminds and your organizations are impact focused, you guys have all the information that you need to help someone to be successful or to possibly find remedies, cures, or best practices. Like the information is there, but we have to remember that sometimes it's the delivery, AKA the message, or the message and AKA the delivery. Keep that in mind when we're posting things on social. I got the message, I mastered the topic, but now I got a great grasp of the message, but is the delivery engaging or attracting enough for the individuals that I'm looking to connect to? And the last thing, the big thing, is content is anything that adds value to the reader's life. Now, if you guys want to copy that, take a picture of it, but keep that in mind. Content is anything that adds value to the reader's life, because we are impact focused. Everything that we release to the masses through social and digital media is centered, and the intention or the goal behind it is to add value to the reader's life. I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone post a water bottle with those numbers on it, with the time frames, and I'm like, oh man, I need more water. But from a health focus, from a health perspective, I probably should be drinking a whole lot more water every day, because it helps, I'm assuming, I'm not a doctor, but it helps alleviate certain other medical issues that possibly could arise because you're functionally dehydrated. And I'm pretty sure most of America's functionally dehydrated because we have sodas, we have pops, we have juice, we have all these different things. But think about something as simple as that. It added value to a person's life because it promoted me or prompted me to do something different. When it comes to social, especially from an organizational standpoint, we are putting our content out there to get people to either respond the way that we desire for them to, or for them to do something different.